Well, I don't know about this idea of a location shoot. I guess I'm okay with doing a Halloween show in a graveyard, but does it have to be in the middle of the night? Seems like just asking for trouble. Well, I could certainly use a little help out here, but who would come out here in the middle of the night at this hour? Oh.
I want you to tell all your friends out there, I'm Batman!
Duly noted.
You can watch the Arlington Weekly News on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Arlington Weekly News, the number 1, and also facebook.com/Arlington Weekly News.
And also on the radio, WERA 96.7 LP FM. Check us out. All right, on with the news.
As of Saturday morning, October 23rd, reports show the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Arlington increased by 183 for the week, up to 18,449. We at Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News will continue to monitor the situation as the cooler months continue. As for vaccinations, as of October 23rd, 174,068 Arlingtonians have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. The number having received 2 doses was 159,099. Based upon our best estimate of Arlington's population over the age of 12, the percentage of 212,800 eligible Arlingtonians who are at least partially vaccinated is 81.7%. However, the fully vaccinated percentage is still only 74.7%. Prior to the emergence of the Delta variant, those would have been good percentages, but that no longer is the case. On Friday, October 22nd, hundreds of students walked out of their classrooms this morning to take a stand against sexual assault and harassment in Arlington Public Schools. The walkout took place from 11 a.m. to noon at Yorktown, Washington Liberty, and Wakefield High Schools, and Arlington Career Center. The walkouts were held 2 weeks after reports that a group of students yelled inappropriate sexual language and touched a fellow student inappropriately at a football game. According to School Talk emails APS sent to high school families, the protests were similar to other walkouts at schools nationwide. Yorktown Principal Kevin Clark connected the walkout to the Yorktown homecoming football game. During halftime, a handful of YHS students allegedly used inappropriate and unacceptable language of sexual nature and inappropriately touched a student, Clark wrote. The previous Friday, Clark had provided an update on the investigations into the verbal harassment and inappropriate touching. We have concluded the investigation into the incident involving harassing language and are continuing to investigate the reported inappropriate touching, as the responsible party has not been identified. We have also established robust plans for upcoming events. The School Talk emails to parents of each high school emphasized that while the event was not school-sanctioned, the school supports civic engagement. The letters also listed resources for students experiencing sexual violence. On October 19th, firefighters from Arlington and neighboring jurisdictions successfully extinguished a house fire near Shirlington. Fire companies were initially dispatched to the Wingate Townhouse development on the 2500 block of South Arlington Mill Road for a reported electrical fire. The fire was actually next door at the Heather Lee condominium complex along 28th Road South. According to radio traffic, flames have been visible from the outside of the residence when the first firefighters arrived on scene. The fire was primarily contained to the home's exterior. It was extinguished before it spread further. Everyone was able to escape from the home and no injuries have been reported. And now on to our next news story for this week. An American flag outside of a home in the Arlington Heights neighborhood was set on fire around 3 a.m. on Friday, October the 15th. Arlington County Police and fire investigators are currently trying to find the suspect, a younger man who was wearing a hooded windbreaker and a backpack at the time. The motive for the crime is unclear. According to an ACPD crime report, the unknown suspect approached an American flag on the victim's porch and set it on fire. A witness observed the flag on fire and extinguished it. The suspect is described as a white male, 18 to 30 years old, between 5 feet 4 inches and 5 feet 11 inches tall, and wearing a dark hooded windbreaker, jeans, white sneakers, and carrying a backpack. A joint investigation with the fire marshal's office is ongoing. The lighting of the flag was recorded on video and published on YouTube. The fire had spread to a bush in the front yard before a neighbor put out the fire with a hose. The video was shared with neighbors on an email listserv. And now on to our last news story for this week. 2 construction workers were seriously hurt Thursday when part of a concrete wall fell on them as they were doing renovation work in a school kitchen at Escuela Key Elementary School on Edison Street near Fields Park. Arlington County Fire and EMS said the incident happened at 10:28 a.m. Authorities said the 2 workers were doing renovation work in the school's kitchen when a section of concrete block veneer wall fell on them. Both workers suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries and were taken to the hospital. The fire department said there is no structural damage to the building or any danger to students or staff. Well, that does it for the news for this week. Now on to our community bulletin board stories.
Hi, and welcome to CBB. Our first event is called Keep Calm and Carry Yarn at Aurora Hills. They describe it as a chance to learn, socialize, and have a good time. They go on to say, whether you're curious about knitting, a beginner who wants to learn more, or are working at an intermediate or advanced level, this group is for you. Bring your desire to create with yarn, along with your projects, questions, and problems. Attendees should bring their own supplies, but there are some needles and yarn on hand for beginners to use for practice. However, the event is for adult knitters and crocheters of all skill levels. Here's a word about COVID-19 safety. All attendees aged 2 and older, regardless of vaccination status, are required to wear a mask while inside all Arlington Public Library facilities. That's on Wednesday, November 3rd, from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. at Aurora Hills Branch Library, 735 18th Street South. Next up, free walk-in COVID-19 vaccinations are still available for individuals aged 12 and up at the following locations. Arlington Mill Community Center at 909 South Dinwiddie Street, Monday through Friday from 11 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Also Saturday and Sunday from 9 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. And at the Walter Reed Community Center at 2909 16th Street South. That's Monday through Friday from 11 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. and Saturday and Sunday 9 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. The vaccines are free, safe, and offer the best protection from COVID-19. Get the facts and then get yourself and your child vaccinated. Please bring any form of identification that will confirm your identity, such as utility bills, pay stubs, insurance cards, or a driver's license. As for the specific vaccines being offered, you can get the Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson based on availability. For Moderna or Pfizer, individuals will receive instructions at the end of their first dose on how to obtain their second dose. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a single shot and does not require a second dose. With case numbers in Arlington still increasing, obtaining the vaccination is something we all owe the rest of our community. Next up, here's an event that's good for all ages. Kim O'Connell and Nam Viet's Richard Nguyen will host a 5-stop tour around Clarendon to illuminate the neighborhood's rich Vietnamese history. The library truck will serve as the meeting place to begin the tour, and library staff will have fun giveaways for all ages. A deeper dive of this history is also being provided as a booklet for Arlingtonians to take and explore on their own. Additionally, the Center for Local History will be sharing before and after archival photographs of the Clarendon neighborhood to help round out the event. This event draws from the project Echoes of Little Saigon. Little Saigon refers to the Vietnamese ethnic enclave in the Clarendon neighborhood of Arlington, which served the large refugee population that immigrated after the fall of Saigon on April 30th, 1975. The neighborhood became a vibrant hub of Vietnamese commerce and social activity and reached its peak during the late 1970s to mid-1980s. The opening of the Washington Metropolitan Area Transport Authority's Clarendon Metro Station eventually sparked new development, resulting in higher rents, and businesses closed or relocated, notably to the nearby Eden Center. Nam Viet Restaurant is the last remaining original Vietnamese business in Clarendon. You can register online through the library website. That's on Saturday, November 6th, from 10 o'clock to 11:30 a.m. at the library truck, which will be parked outside of the Clarendon Metro Station at 3100 Wilson Boulevard. Next up, there's something called fort building, and it's mainly for kids aged 8 to 11. It's a chance to join up for a morning of fort building in the park. How do you construct a fort safely using only the materials you can find in the woods? You'll need to register children and adults because children must be accompanied by a registered adult. For information, you can call 703-228-3403. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. That's on Thursday, November 4th, from 10 o'clock to 11:30 a.m. at Gulf Branch Nature Center, 3608 North Military Road. Next up, it's the Fort C.F. Smith Walking Tour, and it's for families with kids aged 7 and up. Fort C.F. Smith was one of the last Union forts built to protect Washington during the Civil War. You'll learn about the park's history, the role of the fort, and the soldiers stationed there in the Civil War. Dress for the weather. The terrain will be uneven and possibly muddy. You'll need to register both children and adults because children must be accompanied by a registered adult. For information, call 703-228-4775. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. And that is on Saturday, November 6th, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. at Fort C.F. Smith Park, 2411 24th Street North. Finally, in CBB, there's another campfire coming up for families, lovers of s'mores, and assorted pyromaniacs. This one's called Preparing for Winter Campfire. The whole family is invited to join in at the Gulf Branch Fire Ring for lots of fun. This engaging program will be filled with entertaining activities that may include stories, special animal guests, and, of course, s'mores, as long as you bring your own supplies. Register children and adults because children must be accompanied by a registered adult. For information, call 703-228-3403. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. And that's coming up on Saturday, November 6th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at Gulf Branch Nature Center, 3608 North Military Road. And now it's time for 55 Plus News.
Howdy, and welcome to 55 Plus News. Well, the first thing is that Arlington has changed the 55 Plus website so that their calendar doesn't provide all the detailed info that it used to, like activity numbers. For that, you got to open up the 55 Plus guide, but that's not organized by the date. So it's a little bit tricky to get all the info in order at the same time. I reckon they figure the new site looks sleek or streamlined or something, but it's easy to make something look streamlined by leaving out some of the info. I guess that's what they mean by progress. Anyway, first up we got one-hit wonders. Now, while some rock artists did have long, successful careers, there were others who were only able to hit it big with one song. Still, these one-hit wonders often had a tremendous impact, and they were truly memorable. Some examples are sure to resonate with you, like Robert Palmer with A Bad Case of Lovin' You, Nazareth with Love Hurts, and Thin Lizzy with The Boys Are Back in Town. Carl Gold will discuss and also perform a sampling of these one-hit wonders. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. The activity number is 911-400-10, and that's on Tuesday, November 2nd from 1 o'clock to 2:45 p.m. You gotta be 55 and up. 55 Plus membership is required, and it is a virtual event. Well, the next event is called Morning Meetup, and it's a drop-in event. That means drop-in classes are ongoing programs that participants can join any time with a valid 55 Plus pass. Any program listed as a drop-in class does not require pre-registration. All programs do have a capacity limit and may fill up. Participants should sign in at these programs. Now, it's easier not to have to register, but you might go to drop in and find out that you're out of luck because the event got filled up. But anyway, if you want to try, it's on Wednesday, November 3rd from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock a.m. at Langston Brown Community Center and Park, 2121 North Culpeper Street. You gotta be 55 and up, and 55 Plus membership is required. Next up, we got something called Cold War Intelligence in the Skies. Now, much of the so-called Cold War was fought in the sky and in space, with Americans and Soviets gathering intelligence about each other as they tried to gain an advantage. From the end of World War II until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, these two superpowers conducted extensive aerial and space reconnaissance, developing new, top-secret, and increasingly sophisticated technologies to up their games. Scott Willey, the senior docent of the National Air and Space Museum's Stephen F. Odvar Hazy Center, will discuss highlights of U.S. efforts to stay one step ahead of the USSR. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. The activity number is 911-400-39. Now that's coming up on Thursday, November 4th from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. at the Lubber Run Community Center. That's 300 North Park Drive. You gotta be 55 and up. 55 Plus membership is required. And for this, there is also a virtual version. And that activity number is 911-400-40. Next up, we got a matinee cabaret. Soloist Julianne Corley will sing favorite songs from Broadway and movie musicals, as well as some classic oldies. Packaged snacks will also be provided, so you can munch and crunch along in time. Register online or call 703-228-4747. The activity number is 911-802-9. That's on Friday, November 5th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. at Aurora Hills Community Center, 735 18th Street South. You gotta be 55 and up, and 55 plus membership is required. Next up, it's all about the ukulele. Now, they say that strumming a ukulele is both therapeutic and fun, and I'm not going to argue about that. It sure did wonders for Ike Edwards and Tiny Tim. Now, volunteer Sandy O'Shea will teach some basic strumming. A limited number of ukuleles will be available. By the way, Ike Edwards was also the voice of Jiminy Cricket. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. The activity number is 911-702-4. That's coming up on Tuesday, November 9th from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. at the Arlington Mill Community Center, 909 South Dinwiddie Street. You gotta be 55 and up, and 55 plus membership is required. Anyway, that's all I got for 55 plus news.
The reported walkout by Arlington High School students captured our attention, which is probably what they intended to do, but it also raised questions about its origins. The incident that allegedly triggered the walkout took place at the Yorktown homecoming football game against Herndon High School. The walkout was reportedly similar to other walkouts that were occurring at schools nationwide. Those walkouts protested things like anti-Asian racism and gun violence in schools. The stated purpose of the Arlington walkout was to speak out against sexual violence and to demand more action from school administrators. However, the actual offenders were reportedly fellow Yorktown High School students. The task of preventing such an occurrence at a halftime presentation at a high school football game would require a prohibitively large policing presence. It would seem, therefore, that the students who acted as mere witnesses might have been more effective by raising their voices at the time of the actual wrongdoing. Fellow students might have been able to intercede on behalf of the victim and discourage the perpetrators. We can recall protests in earlier years directed at large-scale issues like the American involvement in the Vietnam War and the need for civil rights legislation. In those cases, governmental action was required. This is a much smaller situation that could be addressed on a smaller level. A speech by Skoutny Young inadvertently stated the matter clearly. Sexual violence thrives when there is a culture and system that allows and accepts it, and these students were saying they want to change that. We would suggest that in many cases it is the students themselves who can best effectuate the change they want to see. Intentionally walking out of class and missing a portion of their own education does not seem to be as effective as actual student-to-student engagement. The students would do well to acknowledge their responsibility for their own culture. And that concludes tonight's show. We will be back next week with more news from Arlington. Meanwhile, be careful, be safe, and be well.
ladies and gentlemen. This is my newest song. Just finished recording it. You can expect to hear the single out soon. A song I wrote called There's Evil Afoot. Oh, you'll see. You'll see what's in the sky. Someone got to get up. Someone else is gonna cry. A cry, baby's crying on the shore of town. Some kids there's evil afoot. Time to run away. It wants complete control. There's evil afoot. Times of wood. It's hard as a little wood. There's evil afoot. It's in the forest. It's the blanket. Oh, it's a mirror. It's a kill. Don't see it. There's evil afoot. Darkness might move mighty fast, but you got light speed. So come on, you're stronger